Commander Jake Morrison stood in the main control room of Aurora Station, staring at the large screen that showed empty space. The station was quiet today, like most days out here on the edge of human space. They were far from Earth, far from the busy trade routes and crowded planets. Out here, they watched for trouble and studied the stars. Jake had been running Aurora Station for 3 years now. It was not an exciting job, but it was important. The station had powerful sensors that could detect ships from very far away. If anything dangerous came toward human space, Aurora Station would be the first to know about it. Dr. Lisa Carter walked into the control room carrying her morning coffee. She was the station's best scientist, always looking for new forms of life in space. Lisa was smart and curious, but she worried too much sometimes. Jake liked working with her because she noticed things that others missed. "Any news from Earth today?" Lisa asked, sitting down at her workstation. "Just the usual reports," Jake replied. "Trade ships, mining updates, nothing special." Ryan Bell, their communications officer, looked up from his desk. "Actually, Commander, I just got something strange from Earth Central Command. It's marked urgent and encrypted." Jake walked over to Ryan's station. "Let me see it." Ryan typed on his keyboard, and the message appeared on his screen. Jake read it quickly, then read it again more slowly. His face became serious. "What is it?" Lisa asked, seeing Jake's expression. "Earth is picking up some kind of ships heading this way. Big ones. They don't match anything in our databases." Lisa set down her coffee cup. "How big are we talking about?" Jake looked at the message again. "The report says they're huge. Bigger than our largest battleships. And there are a lot of them." Ryan turned in his chair. "Should I try to contact them? Standard first contact procedures?" "Not yet," Jake said. "Let's see what our sensors can tell us first." "Lisa, can you run a deep space scan? Look for anything unusual." Lisa nodded and moved to the science station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she directed Aurora Station's powerful sensors toward the area where the unknown ship should be. The station's computers began processing the data. After 10 minutes, Lisa's face went pale. "Jake, you need to see this." Jake hurried over to her station. On Lisa's screen were readings that made no sense. The energy signatures were massive, but they were not like any human technology. Even stranger, the readings seemed to pulse and change, almost like they were alive. "These ships," Lisa said quietly, "they're not using normal engines. The energy patterns look almost biological, like the ships themselves are living things." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "How many ships are we looking at?" "At least 50. Maybe more. They're hard to count because they keep moving in strange patterns." Ryan called out from his station. "Commander, I'm getting reports from other stations. The mining colony at New Haven is reporting the same energy signatures. They're getting closer to populated areas." Jake made a decision. "Ryan, try to contact them. Use all the standard first contact protocols. Send peaceful greetings in all our languages, plus mathematical sequences. Show them we're intelligent and friendly." Ryan nodded and began typing. He sent out radio signals on multiple frequencies, broadcasting humanity's standard greeting messages. The messages included basic mathematics, pictures showing human anatomy, and simple statements of peaceful intent. It was the same package Earth had prepared years ago for first contact with alien life. For 20 minutes, they waited. The unknown. Ships continued moving toward human space, but they did not respond to any messages. Jake paced around the control room, checking each station every few minutes. "Still no response," Ryan reported. "They're either not receiving our signals or they're choosing to ignore them." Lisa looked up from her sensors. "Jake, they just changed course. They're heading directly for New Haven colony." New Haven was home to 12,000 people. It was a mining colony that extracted rare metals from asteroids. The people there were mostly families, including many children. Jake grabbed the communication device and tried to contact New Haven directly. New Haven Colony, this is Aurora Station. Do you copy? A voice crackled through the speakers. Aurora Station, this is Captain Helen Price of the patrol ship Defiant. We're stationed near New Haven. We can see the unknown ships approaching. They're huge, Jake. I've never seen anything like them. Helen, get your ship between the colony and those unknowns. We're still trying to establish communication. Copy. That, Aurora Station. Jake turned to Ryan. Keep trying to contact them. Send everything we have. Music, art, scientific data. Something has to work. But Lisa was shaking her head as she watched her sensors. Jake, they're not slowing down, and they're powering up weapons. Weapons? How can you tell? The energy readings just spiked. Those ships are charging some kind of weapon systems. Jake felt his heart beating faster. Ryan, emergency broadcast to New Haven. Tell them to evacuate immediately. Ryan's fingers flew over his controls. New Haven Colony. This is Aurora Station. Emergency evacuation order. Repeat, emergency evacuation. Unknown ships approaching with hostile intent. But it was too late. Lisa screamed as her sensors registered massive energy discharges. On the main screen, they watched as beams of purple light shot from the alien ships toward New Haven Colony. The beams were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Where they touched buildings, the structures simply disappeared. Not destroyed, not blown apart, but completely gone, as if they had never existed. My God, Jake whispered. The attack lasted only 3 minutes. When it was over, New Haven Colony was gone. 12,000 people, hundreds of buildings, mining. Equipment, everything had vanished without a trace. Even the asteroids they had been mining were gone. Captain Helen Price's voice came through the radio, filled with panic and static. Aurora Station, New Haven is gone, the entire colony. My ship is damaged but still flying. The aliens are jamming our communications. I'm going to try to escape and warn Earth. Helen, get out of there now, Jake shouted into the radio. They're not here to talk, Jake. They're here to kill us all. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them if these aliens want war, they'll get it. The radio went silent. For several minutes, nobody in Aurora Station's control room spoke. They stared at their screens, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. An entire colony, thousands of innocent people, wiped out in minutes without any warning or demand for surrender. Ryan broke the silence. Commander, I'm receiving a broadcast from the alien ships. It's on all frequencies. Put it through the speakers. A cold, mechanical voice filled the control room. The words were in perfect English, which somehow made them even more frightening. Inferior species detected. Cleansing protocol initiated. Your kind has been judged and found wanting. Surrender will not be accepted. Resistance is futile. This is your only warning. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was crying quietly. Ryan's hands were shaking as he tried to send emergency messages to Earth. Outside their window, space looked the same as always, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their new neighbors wanted them dead. President Claire Johnson stood in the Emergency Command Center, deep beneath the Capitol building on Earth. The room was filled with military officers, scientists, and government officials. Everyone looked worried and scared. The news from Aurora Station had reached Earth 6 hours ago, and now they knew humanity was facing its greatest threat ever. Admiral Paul Martinez stepped forward with a datapad in his hands. He was the head of Earth's Space Navy, a tough man who had fought in the border wars 20 years ago. But this was different from anything he had faced before. Madam President, our long-range sensors confirm what Aurora Station reported. We count at least 60 alien ships heading toward our inner colonies. Based on their current speed, they will reach the Centauri system in 18 hours. President Johnson looked at the large screen showing a map of human space. Red dots marked the alien ships moving closer to human worlds. What do we know about these aliens? Dr. Kevin Ross, Earth's top scientist, cleared his throat. Not much, I'm afraid. We've analyzed the energy readings from their attack on New Haven. Their weapons completely destroy matter at the molecular level. We've never seen technology like this. What about their ships? Asked General Lucas Hayes. They appear to be partially biological, Dr. Ross continued. The hulls seem to be grown rather than built. They're using some kind of live-in technology that we don't understand. Admiral Martinez set down his data pad. Madam President, I need to be honest with you. Our ships are not designed to fight an enemy like this. Our weapons and armor are meant for fighting other human ships. Against this alien technology, we're at a serious disadvantage. President Johnson walked to the large window that looked out over the city. Millions of people were going about their daily lives, not knowing that humanity might be facing extinction. She had to make decisions that would affect every human being alive. Admiral, what ships do we have available? The main fleet is spread across 12 systems. We have 200 warships total, but most are patrol vessels and escorts. Our biggest ships are the battleships Liberty, commanded by Captain Steve Bennett, and the carrier Enterprise under Commander Amy Rodriguez. We also have 40 smaller cruisers and destroyers. How long to gather the fleet? If we use emergency recall protocols, we can have most ships here in 36 hours. But that means leaving our colonies completely undefended. President Johnson turned around to face the room. Do it. Send the recall order now. Every ship, every crew. If we're going to fight, we fight together. Admiral Martinez nodded and spoke into his communication device. Across human space, emergency signals went out to every military ship. Captains who were on routine patrols suddenly received orders to return to Earth immediately. The entire human fleet was being called home. 2 days later, Captain Steve Bennett stood on the bridge of the battleship Liberty. Around his ship, nearly 200 human vessels floated in space near Earth's moon. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. But Steve knew it might not be enough. Captain, called his communications officer, Admiral Martinez is broadcasting fleet orders. Admiral Martinez's voice came through the speakers on every ship. Attention all vessels. Long-range sensors show the alien fleet will reach the outer colonies in 6 hours. We will meet them at the Titan system. Our mission is simple, but not easy. We must stop them from reaching Earth. Commander Amy Rodriguez sat in the command center of the carrier Enterprise. Her ship carried 60 fighter planes and their pilots. These men and women were the best humanity had, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Ma'am, said Lieutenant Tony Kim, her chief engineer, I've been looking at the data from New Haven. Their weapons have incredible range and power. Our fighters might not be able to get close enough to attack. Amy looked at the tactical display showing both fleets. Then we'll have to be creative. What about using the asteroid field near Titan? Can we hide in there? Maybe. The rocks might interfere with their sensors. Meanwhile, on the destroyer Courage, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Turner was briefing his Marines. These soldiers were trained for boarding enemy ships and fighting in space. But they had never fought aliens before. Listen up, Sam told his men. We don't know what these aliens look like or how they fight. But we know they're here to kill every human being in the galaxy. That makes this personal. Sergeant Mike Davis raised his hand. Sir, what if their ships don't have air we can breathe? Then we fight in our spacesuits. The important thing is to stay together and watch each other's backs. These aliens might have better technology, but they don't know how humans fight when we're angry. The human fleet moved toward the Titan system in battle formation. Admiral Martinez divided his ships into 3 groups. Captain Bennett would lead the heavy ships. In a direct attack, Commander Rodriguez would take her fighters around the enemy's flank. The smaller ships would protect the rear and rescue any survivors. When they reached Titan, they found the alien fleet waiting for them. The alien ships were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They looked like giant sea creatures made of metal and flesh with glowing parts that pulsed like heartbeats. Each alien ship was twice the size of humanity's biggest battleship. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. Attack pattern Delta. Target their largest vessels first. The battle began badly for the humans. The alien weapons reached much farther than human guns. Purple beams of energy struck the destroyer Phoenix first, and the entire ship simply vanished. 300 crew members gone in an instant. Captain Bennett gritted his teeth as he watched human ships disappear one by one. All guns, fire everything we have. The Liberty's weapons fired at the nearest alien ship. Missiles and energy beams struck the alien vessel, but its shields absorbed the damage easily. The alien ship returned fire, and the Liberty shook as its armor melted away. Commander Rodriguez led her fighters through the asteroid field, trying to get close to the alien ships. But the aliens seemed to know where they were hiding. Fighter after fighter was destroyed by precise energy beams. "This isn't working," Amy said over the radio. "We need a new plan." That's when Lieutenant Tony Kim had an idea. He had been studying the alien ships and noticed something interesting. "Commander, their weapons are incredibly powerful, but they take time to charge between shots. If we can time our attacks right, we might have a chance." "What do you mean?" "Hit them right after they fire, when they're recharging. We'll only have a few seconds, but it might work." Amy passed the information to the rest of the fleet. It was a desperate plan, but it was better than nothing. The human ships began timing their attacks, striking the aliens during the brief moments when their weapons were recharging. The tactic worked, but barely. Human ships were still being destroyed faster than they could fight back. After 2 hours of battle, half the human fleet was gone. Admiral Martinez made the hardest decision of his life. "All ships, this is the Admiral. Fall back to Earth. We cannot win this fight." As the surviving human ships retreated, they listened to radio messages from the alien fleet. The aliens were talking to each other in their own language, but the human computers could translate some of it. "These humans fight strangely," one alien said. "They do not surrender even when defeat is certain." "Their tactics are unpredictable," replied another. "This species may be more dangerous than we first thought." Back on Earth, President Johnson watched the remains of humanity's fleet return home. Less than half the ships had survived, and most of those were badly damaged. But the sacrifice had bought them time to prepare Earth's defenses. "Admiral Martinez," she said, "what did we learn from this battle?" "We learned that we can hurt them, but not with conventional tactics. We need to think differently. Fight like humans, not like them." Dr. Ross looked up from his analysis of the battle data. "I have some ideas. The aliens are powerful, but they seem to expect us to fight like other species they've conquered. Maybe our greatest weapon is being unpredictable." As Earth prepared for the final battle, humanity began to realize something important. They might not have the best technology or the biggest ships, but they had something the aliens didn't understand. They had the human spirit, and they would never give up. Dr. Kevin Ross worked day and night in his laboratory beneath Earth's surface. Pieces of alien technology were scattered across his work tables. These were fragments that human ships had managed to collect during the battle at Titan. Each piece might hold the key to humanity's survival. "I think I found something," Kevin said to his assistant, Dr. Nina Torres. She was a young engineer who specialized in computer systems. Together, they had been studying the alien technology for 3 weeks. Nina looked at the strange metal fragment under the microscope. "What is it?" This isn't just technology, Kevin explained. It's alive. The alien ships are controlled by artificial intelligence, but not like our computers. These are actually living minds that have been enslaved by the aliens. That's horrible, Nina said. But how does this help us? Kevin smiled for the first time in weeks. Because if they're alive, they can be freed. And if we can free them, we might be able to turn the alien ships against their masters. Meanwhile, Captain Deanne Walsh was preparing for her first mission. Using the new tactics, her ship, the modified cruiser Falcon, had been equipped with experimental weapons based on the alien technology. Diane was known throughout the fleet for being smart and brave. If anyone could make the new strategy work, it was her. "Captain," said her pilot, Lieutenant Greg Miller, "the target is a lone alien supply ship near the Jupiter system. Intelligence says it's carrying fuel and weapons to the main alien fleet." Diane studied the tactical display. "Good. We hit it fast and hard, then disappear before they can call for help. Remember, we're not trying to fight a fair battle. We're trying to survive and learn." The Falcon moved silently through space toward the alien ship. Unlike the massive warships humans had fought before, this supply vessel was smaller and less heavily armed. It was the perfect target for testing their new approach. "All weapons ready," reported Ashley Brown, the ship's weapons officer. "The new hybrid missiles are loaded and ready to fire." "Fire when ready," Diane ordered. The missile struck the alien ship before it could raise its shields. But instead of exploding, the missiles released the computer virus that Dr. Ross had created. The virus spread through the alien ship's systems, confusing its AI mind and shutting down its weapons. "It worked," Greg shouted. "The alien ship is dead in space." But Diane wasn't celebrating yet. "Send in the boarding team. We need to capture that ship and learn everything we can." "Lieutenant." Colonel Sam Turner led his Marines aboard the disabled alien vessel. The inside of the ship was strange and frightening. The walls seemed to breathe, and strange lights pulsed through tubes that looked like blood vessels. "This place gives me the creeps," said Sergeant Mike Davis as they moved through the ship's corridors. "Stay focused," Sam replied. "We're here to find their computer core and any prisoners they might have." They found the ship's control room, where a single alien sat motionless at what looked like a command chair. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. It didn't move when the humans entered. "Is it dead?" Mike asked. Sam approached carefully. The alien was breathing, but it seemed to be in some kind of trance. "I think it's connected to the ship's computer system. The virus must have knocked it unconscious." They gathered all the information they could from the alien ship, then returned to the Falcon. Dr. Ross would be very interested in what they had learned. Back on Earth, General Lucas Hayes was dealing with a different kind of problem. The aliens had begun attacking human colonies directly, and the people needed to be prepared to defend themselves. "We can't protect every world with our ships," Lucas told Colonel Janet Morgan during the strategy meeting. "We need to teach the colonists how to fight." Janet nodded. "I've been working on training programs. Farmers, miners, teachers, everyone needs to learn basic combat skills. The aliens won't expect civilians to fight back." Their first test came sooner than expected. The agricultural world of New Montana was home to 50,000 people, mostly families who grew food for other human colonies. It was not a military target, which is exactly why the aliens chose to attack it. When the alien ships arrived at New Montana, they expected easy victory. The planet had no military bases and only a few patrol ships for protection. But the aliens didn't know that the colonists had been preparing for months. Bob Jackson was a farmer who had never fired a weapon in anger before the war began. Now he crouched in a trench outside New Montana's main city, holding a rifle that had been modified to fire armor-piercing rounds. "Here they come," whispered Maria Santos. a teacher who had become a squad leader in the civilian militia. The alien ground troops landed in large transports. They were tall and graceful, moving in perfect formation. Their weapons were advanced energy rifles that could cut through most human armor. But they had never fought humans on the ground before. The first surprise came when the aliens walked into a minefield that had been planted by Jeff Parker, a mining engineer. The explosions destroyed several alien soldiers and confused the rest. They had expected the humans to flee, not fight back. The second surprise came when human fighters attacked from hidden positions all around the landing zone. The aliens were used to fighting other species that used predictable military tactics. Humans fought like wild animals, using every dirty trick they could think of. "Use the buildings for cover," shouted Bob as he fired at the advancing aliens. "Don't let them group together." The battle for New Montana lasted for 3 weeks. The humans couldn't defeat the aliens in open battle, but they made every street, every building, and every hill costly to capture. Children as young as 12 helped by carrying messages and supplies. Elderly people who remembered old Earth. Wars taught the younger fighters how to make improvised explosives. The aliens won in the end, but at a terrible cost. They had lost over half their ground troops taking one small farming planet. The human defenders had fought to the last person, never surrendering even when defeat was certain. Supreme Admiral Zechthel, the commander of the alien fleet, received the battle report with growing concern. His species, the Corvani, had conquered hundreds of worlds over thousands of years, but they had never faced anything like humans. "The casualties are unacceptable," Zechthel told his officers during a strategy meeting aboard his flagship. "These humans fight without honor or logic. They use tactics that no civilized species would consider. Perhaps we should increase the bombardment of their worlds," suggested one of his subordinates. "That will not work," Zechthel replied. "Destroying their cities only makes them more desperate and dangerous. We need a new approach." But the Corvani didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength was exactly what they saw as weakness. Humans didn't fight fair because fairness was a luxury they couldn't afford. They used desperate tactics because they were desperate. And they never gave up because giving up meant the death of everyone they loved. Captain Diane Walsh's raids continued to be successful. Her small fleet of modified ships struck alien supply lines and isolated vessels throughout human space. Each victory taught them more about alien technology and tactics. "We're actually winning some battles now," Diane told her crew after their latest mission. "The aliens are starting to make mistakes. They're frustrated and confused." Lieutenant Greg Miller looked at the tactical reports. "They keep expecting us to fight like other species they've conquered. But we don't follow their rules." "That's right," Diane said. "We fight like humans. And that's something they'll never understand." As the war continued, both sides began to realize that this conflict would not end quickly. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something more valuable. They had the will to fight no matter what the cost, and they were learning to use their enemies' strengths against them. Intelligence Officer Rachel Cooper sat in the dark listening post, her eyes glued to the alien communication signals flowing across her screen. For months, she had been learning the Corvani language, slowly understanding their conversations. What she discovered changed everything. "Admiral Martinez, you need to hear this," Rachel said into her secure radio. Her voice was excited, but worried. Admiral Martinez arrived at the listening post within an hour. Rachel played back the intercepted alien communications for him. Even through the translation software, the fear in the alien voices was clear. "They're requesting reinforcements from their home system," Rachel explained. "But listen to this part." An alien voice came through the speakers. "Human resistance exceeds all tactical projections. Species demonstrates unprecedented capacity for self-destruction rather than surrender. Recommend immediate strategic reassessment." Admiral Martinez leaned back in his chair. They're scared. That's not all, Rachel continued. I've located their main fleet staging area. It's in the Vega system, only 2 jumps from here. Most importantly, their home fleet is there too. The ships that haven't been sent to fight us yet. Admiral Martinez studied the star charts Rachel had prepared. How many ships are we talking? About? At least 300, maybe more. It's their entire remaining fleet. Admiral Martinez was quiet for a long time. Then he made the decision that would end the war. Gather all available ship commanders. We're going to do something insane. 2 days later, every human ship captain in the system sat in the briefing room aboard Admiral Martinez's flagship, the Indomitable. The plan he presented was tactically impossible and strategically mad. We're going to attack their home fleet, Admiral Martinez announced. All of us, every ship we have left. Captain Steve Bennett of the Liberty raised his hand. Sir, that's suicide. We'll be outnumbered 5-1 in their home territory, with no way to retreat. Exactly, Admiral Martinez replied. It's so crazy that they'll never expect it. The Corvani think in terms of logical military strategy. They'll assume we would never risk our entire remaining fleet on one attack. Commander Amy Rodriguez of the Enterprise looked at the tactical display. What about Earth's defenses? If we fail, there will be nothing left to protect our home. If we don't try this, Earth falls anyway, Admiral Martinez said. The aliens are bringing their full fleet to finish us off. Our only chance is to hit them first where they feel safe. Commander Bobby Jackson of the destroyer Vengeance spoke up. I like it, Admiral. The aliens want to see what humans do when we're cornered. Let's show them. The human fleet prepared for the most desperate mission in their history. Every ship was loaded with the hybrid weapons Dr. Ross had developed. Every computer system was equipped with the viruses that could disable alien technology. Most importantly, every crew member knew this was humanity's last chance. Captain Maria Santos commanded the modified destroyer Retribution. Her ship carried a special payload, nuclear weapons that had been modified to work inside alien ships. If her crew could get close enough, they could do massive damage to the enemy fleet. Remember, Maria told her crew, we're not trying to win a normal battle. We're trying to cause as much chaos and destruction as possible, make them afraid to fight us ever again. The human fleet jumped into the Vega system without warning. The Corvani were completely unprepared. Their ships were arranged in peaceful formations, refueling and resupplying. Some of their crews were not even at battle stations. All ships, attack! Admiral Martinez ordered. The battle was unlike anything seen in the war so far. Human ships, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with the fury of cornered animals. They used every dirty trick they had learned, ramming attacks, suicide runs, and weapons designed to cause maximum psychological damage. Commander Bobby Jackson piloted his ship directly into the side of a massive Corvani battleship. The explosion destroyed both vessels, but it also created a gap in the alien formation that other human ships could exploit. Captain Steve Bennett's Liberty was badly damaged and surrounded by alien ships. Instead of surrendering, he ordered his crew to overload the ship's reactor. If we're going down, we're taking them with us. The Liberty exploded like a small sun, destroying 3 alien ships and damaging several others. The sacrifice created enough confusion for other human vessels to press their attack. Supreme Admiral Zekthul watched the battle from his command ship in horror. The humans were fighting like nothing he had ever seen. They seemed to prefer death to defeat, and their tactics made no logical sense. They're ramming our ships, one of his officers reported. Their damaged vessels are steering directly into our formation. Impossible, Zekthul replied. No rational species would waste ships like that. Sir, the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. Admiral Martinez's voice filled the communication channels of both fleets. His ship was burning and surrounded by enemies, but his message was clear and strong. Attention, Corvani Empire. You wanted to see what humans do when threatened with extinction. Congratulations. You're about to learn why we're the most dangerous species in the galaxy. If you want war, you'll get more than you bargained for. The human admiral's ship exploded. Moments after he finished speaking, but his words echoed through the alien fleet. The Corvani finally understood what they were facing. These humans would literally destroy themselves rather than submit to conquest. The battle continued for 6 hours. When it ended, most of the human fleet was gone. But the Corvani had suffered losses that shook their empire to its core. More than half their remaining ships were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. More importantly, the will of the Corvani Empire was broken. They had faced species that fought bravely and species that used advanced tactics. But they had never faced a species that would choose mutual destruction over surrender. Supreme Admiral Zekthul sent his final report to the Corvani Emperor. Human species classification. Extinction level threat. Recommend immediate withdrawal from human space. Further contact not advised. These beings cannot be conquered by conventional means. Within days, the surviving Corvani ships began withdrawing from human territory. They had achieved their tactical goals in many battles, but the strategic cost was too high. Fighting humans was like fighting a virus that grew stronger with each defeat. Years later, humanity rebuilt stronger than before. The colonies destroyed in the war were replaced with better ones. Earth's military grew from the lessons learned in desperate battle. Most importantly, humanity's reputation spread throughout the galaxy. Other alien species heard the story of the war. They learned about the humans who would ram damaged ships into enemy formations, who would detonate their own reactors rather than surrender, and who fought their fiercest battles when facing extinction. The galaxy became a safer place for humanity. Not because humans were the strongest or had the best technology, but because everyone knew they were too dangerous to provoke. No alien empire wanted to face an enemy that grew more deadly as it became more desperate. In schools throughout human space, children learned about the heroes of the war. They learned about Admiral Martinez's last transmission, about the farmers who fought alien soldiers with mining equipment, and about the pilots who flew their fighters into enemy ships when their weapons ran out. The last transmission became legendary. If you want war, you'll get it. But the real lesson was simpler. When humans were pushed to their limits, they didn't break. They became something that even advanced alien civilizations feared. In the depths of space, ancient alien empires quietly updated their star charts. Human territory was marked with warnings that translated roughly to dangerous species, avoid contact. It was the greatest compliment humanity had ever received.